Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and we have the patch notes for the Eternals Part 2 update featuring Kingo, Gilgamesh, and Thana. So stick around and watch this video if you want to find out what I think of the new characters, any other new content that's coming out, new resources, new game modes, or maybe the return of old game modes, and then, maintenance times and things like that. So yeah, here is a breakdown of what we are going to be getting as far as the update goes. 2 new CTP reforgings, changes and upgrades to artifact farming and things like that, the return of dimension missions like I mentioned, and then Thana, Kingo, and Gilgamesh getting their first look in the game, plus uniforms, in addition to a maintenance that lasts from 6 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern the next day. So from afternoon on Tuesday, afternoon tonight, to the wee hours of the morning tomorrow. And of course, if you want to find out exactly what I think, and if you want to enjoy the new update with everybody else, you got to head on over to twitch.tv/Cynicalex when I am live when the maintenance is over. As soon as the maintenance is over, if you pop on over to Twitch and you check me out, I'll be there, probably wearing this sweater, probably looking haggard, and going through the whole update step by step. So yeah, let's check it out here. We've got Thana, Gilgamesh, and Kingo with their base looks coming to the game from the original Eternals, comics and things like that. And then they're all getting uniforms based on the movie for, Don Lee, Angelina Jolie, and Kumail Nanjiani. Now, the big change, well, there's a bunch of big changes, but the biggest change here is that Kingo's character changes from speed to blast, and then they get a whole bunch of buffs from these uniforms. The good part is, the really good part is, these uniforms will be on sale for 50% off. Now, for those of you that wanted to buy these uniforms but felt guilty buying them now for 40% off, and then in 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks they'd be on sale for 50% off for Black Friday, you don't have to worry about that anymore. It's only a bit frustrating, or it's only for those of you that were waiting for the crystal spending event. You're gonna have to continue waiting. There should be a crystal spending event for Black Friday, so if you were budgeting these uniforms into your 10,000 crystals that you were gonna spend, then you still need to wait. If you're gonna have more than 10,000 and you were gonna buy these anyways, like me, you can buy them now because they're not gonna get any cheaper for Black Friday. They're still gonna be 50% off. So I think this was a really great change. Now, I don't want to go through all of their skills. They're obviously very meta from what you can see on paper, but we know in the past some characters look really good in the patch notes and they're not very good, or on the flip side, they look pretty bad in the patch notes and they end up being really good. So I'll just give you the highlights of what I think is important here. So Thana, she loses her V-pad skill on the 3rd, which is a bit unfortunate because I loved the way that skill looks. Gilgamesh looks absolutely busted. He has 4 different healing skills if you count his passive. If not, like his artifact passive, if you don't count that, he has 3 heals. He has a heal, he has an auto heal, like passive heal. He has a heal on his 5th skill, and he has a heal on his transcended 6th skill. And then Kingo also looks quite strong for a free character. We'll have to see just how strong he is, but he has the flexibility of being both good for Mephisto and potentially good for any combat super villain world boss legend in the future. The only downside to these characters, besides potentially their cost, is that Thana doesn't seem to have a heal. So we'll have to keep an eye on that because nowadays, pretty much every meta character has at least 1 heal. Kingo's heal is very small, I will say that. Kingo's heal is like 6% only, so it's a very, very small heal for the man Kingo. But otherwise, like basically, Gilgamesh took all the heals. Yeah, he's only got a 6% heal. So maybe that refreshes, like it's a 1-second heal, but it activates multiple times. Then that would, equal maybe 36% or 30%. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if Thana has some kind of heal. Hopefully she has an unlisted heal, because nowadays you basically need a heal for PvE and PvP content. As far as how you obtain these characters, they do talk about it here. Well, Thana's getting a tier 3, for those of you that need to know. Her tier 3 skill is gorgeous. I don't even care about the effects. Absolutely gorgeous. A lot of you pointed out on the live stream and in the YouTube comments that this tier 3 animation is actually Gilgamesh's animation from Fate Stay or Fate Night or some anime. I don't know it, I'm sorry, but yeah. So it's pretty funny that Thana has Gilgamesh's animation from an anime. And then Gilgamesh and Kingo are getting their Transcended. The only difference between the 2 Transcended skills is that Gilgamesh gets a 40% heal. Yeah, the Korean characters are eating good, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. So yeah, how you obtain these characters is through the epic quest. Kingo will be exactly the same as Cersei, so a farmable speed type that can transform into a blast type with a uniform. Gilgamesh will be exactly the same as Makari, so you purchase him for 4,400 crystals. You get 1,100 crystals refunded through the epic quest, and then you get him to tier 2 at the end. And then Thana, you're going to need to complete all 5 of the other epic quests in order to unlock Thana. So that's why I was saying I think Thana needs a heal, because if Thana is this expensive, she better be worth it, right? Maybe she's worth it offensively, but she's going to need to be worth it defensively as well. So that is the breakdown for these 3 characters. We get 1 free, 1 crystal cost, and then 1 sort of mega crystal cost, right? Because you gotta basically do all of the rest of these in order to have the chance to get at her the way that you do for Molecule Man, Gladiator, etc. And you have the standard package for Gilgamesh that we had for Makari. Keep in mind, if you were going to purchase the crystals to purchase the epic quest pack, you're better off just purchasing the special quest pack, because it's just better value for you overall. Just a quick little thing there. And then we have some additional rewards from the Eternals epic quest, which is pretty much straightforward, like every other epic quest. And then we find out what you can farm from the epic quest missions. So Kingo's epic quest missions, you're going to be able to unlock for free. You can farm Kingo bios and Uru. From Thana's epic quest missions, which you obviously have to unlock everyone else first, you can farm Thana bios and Uru. And then from Gilgamesh's, like Makari's, you'll be able to farm 1 to 3 star artifacts and 3-star exclusive skill passive artifacts for Kingo, Gilgamesh, and Thana. So exactly the same as Makari, except for Kingo, Gilgamesh, and Thana instead of Cersei, Makari, and Icarus. We're getting a new game mode as well. I'm trying to go through this as fast as possible. Dimension Rifts. Now, if you've been playing this game for long enough, i.e. 2 years or more, then you recognize Dimension Rifts, because we had Dimension Rifts back in the day. However, they're getting a much needed facelift. So back in the day, Dimension Rifts would be farmed primarily to get cards. You'd have to spend tons of energy, 100, 200, 300 energy to get just a few cards. And it was the primary way of farming cards. Nowadays, card farming is way easier with Dimension missions, not rifts, and the crafting system. So rather than bring that back with the same rewards, they've completely revamped the rewards. So now you farm Dimension Rifts to get artifacts and the artifact adjacent items like Celestial Essence. So this is really good, because for those of you that needed or wanted a more targeted way to get specific artifacts, you will be able to do that. And the really nice thing about these rifts is you not only have different difficulties from normal up to mythic, but you also have 7 different rift scenarios or missions based on the 7 days. But you won't be refreshing them yourself. It will rotate automatically. So, you know, it'll say here, Monday it starts off, well, I don't know, not Monday, but it starts off, let's say, with Captain America's artifact farming day, and then Shang-Chi, and then Sharon Rogers, Crescent, White Fox, Wave, and then Luna Snow. So this is really cool for a lot of different reasons. But for example, you could target farm on specific days, meaning you don't have to play Dimension Rifts every single day. You may still want to for other rewards or just to like stockpile resources, but it's not this like crazy pressure that you're constantly having to farm all the time. And basically the way that it works, I'll try to give you guys a pretty succinct explanation from my understanding anyways. You play the normal one for free, and you get Dimension Rift summoning stones, and then you use those summoning stones of various grades. So you have like normal summoning stones, you know, rare or advanced, rare, heroic, legendary, mythic, same strategy that we have in the game for the regular setups. And you use those other stones to unlock the higher rifts, and you can unlock a total of 1 rift per day yourself, like 1 extra rift per day in addition to the normal rift, and then you can join 2 of your friends' rifts per day. So it's a pretty small amount of farming needed overall. It's not like you're going to be joining infinite rifts per day and you got to worry about this all the time. It resets daily. So, you know, at most you're going to want to do 3 rifts a day, 1 of your own, and then 2 of someone else's on your friends list. Could be the same person, could be different people, whatever. But as you can see, it's going to cost you those mythic rift stones to open the mythic rift, and of course cost you legendary rift stones to unlock the legendary rift stone. So this is not necessarily to say that this is something that you're gonna have to pay money for, We have no idea. I mean, as far as it says right now, you can't purchase these rift zones. You get them by farming the rifts, but it basically, you know, you jump into the normal one for free, you farm that, then you get the stones, and then the next day or whatever, you open the advanced one, and you can build your way up. So the way I see it, maybe, again, I could be wrong about this, but the way I see it, maybe on Monday, again, just taking a 7-day track and sort of building up. Monday, you're on the normal rifts. By Saturday or Sunday, you're on the mythic rift for the week. And then again, you'd want to stagger your progression to line up with the one that you wanted the most. So again, if this started on Monday and Luna ended on Sunday, you probably don't want to end up on mythic on Saturday and Sunday, because Wave and Luna's artifacts are terrible. They're just not terrible, they're pretty bad. So you'd want to adjust it by a few days so that you have a better chance of getting these artifacts, which are much, much better. Now, in addition to getting that, there's other rewards. I'm not going to cover all this because it's pretty complicated. There's also MVP awards. It's unclear whether the MVP awards are for one player or for one player in the rift, because if there's an MVP reward for each rift, then that's much easier to obtain, because a rift can have a maximum of 5 participants. So you have a 1 in 5 chance of being the MVP. If that's the case, that's very, very good. So we'll have to wait and see. It's unclear. Usually in MFF, MVP means 1 winner per day or 1 winner per week. Like, it's a very small window of players given how many players are actually playing. But it's a little bit unclear with how it works. There's other rewards as well. Like, it's a cool system. I do like it. It seems like they put a lot of thought into it. You have these the sword reward. For those of you wondering, this is not a resource that you collect in the sense of like collecting it and using it. It's just basically feeding into your progress meter, and then once your progress meter hits 100% when you've run the mission enough times, then you'll get an additional reward. So you have your daily progress completion reward, which can also reward you with 3-star exclusive passive skill artifacts. So to be honest, this game mode, this new / old Dimension Rift game mode, looks like a better way to farm artifacts than timeline survival. Which sort of makes you ask the question, why do we have timeline survival? I personally like timeline survival. I know some people don't like it, but I really would love to hear from the devs what their line of thinking is. Are they bringing back Dimension Rifts to basically test and see and give players the option, which would be really cool if you think about it that way. Like, hey, do you guys want to farm artifacts from timeline survival, or do you want to farm them from Dimension Rifts? Right, and then whichever one has a higher usage rate, they'll drop the other one and then focus their attention on the winner. I don't know. Do they want to run them in parallel? Again, I don't know, but it seems like they're sort of doing the same thing. But at least from my understanding, Dimension Rifts seem to be a much better way to target farm specific artifacts, because at the end of the day, you're not trying to get random 1 to 3-star artifacts, right? The random non-branded 1 to 3-star artifacts are not good, right? These little, anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's the ones that are exclusive with the icons of the characters. Those are the ones that you want, and those are basically impossible to get from timeline survival. You can't get them from timeline survival, so you're basically just doing timeline survival to get materials to then throw at Celestial Essence, to throw at the Celestial Essence chest. So yeah, this definitely seems better. We'll have to wait and see exactly how it shakes out, but it's pretty interesting. They're also introducing artifact improvements. So previously you could not re-roll artifacts, which was annoying because you'd get a really good artifact for a character, but it wouldn't match up with their instinct, or it would have a bad effect, additional effect, instinct effect, whatever. Like, it'll have like reduced crit instinct crit rate, and you're like, I don't want that. I want increased damage to supervillains or whatever. So now if you have an equal rank, any equal rank artifact, you can re-roll your existing artifact. And when you re-roll it, the passive is the same. You're not going to lose anything, but you will re-roll both the instinct, whether it's order, chaos, whatever, and you'll basically re-roll both of these down here. So this is a really good change, because it basically means that you can now just get your one artifact 4, 5, or 6 stars for the character that you want, and then you can slowly over time farm other artifacts, re-roll your main one, and get that one to be perfect without having to just replace it with a newer, better version. So this is a much needed quality of life change. The only issue is you're going to need an artifact of the same grade and some gold. So it's not like you can use a 3-star artifact to re-roll a 4-star artifact. If it's a 4-star artifact, you're going to need to use another 4-star artifact. And because there are no generic 4-star artifacts, you'll need to find a named one for a character that you don't care about, you don't want. So again, hopefully Dimension Rifts give you enough artifacts that you can do this at least, you know, a few times a week, but we'll have to wait and see how it is. They're also adding some other quality of life stuff to the artifacts so you don't accidentally dismantle the exclusive artifacts. And then they're giving artifacts to Kingo, Thana, and Gilgamesh, like I said. Now, Thana's artifact doesn't give her a heal, which is very good because she needs that on her basic skills. It gives her ignore dodge and super villain damage, which is still pretty good. Kingo's artifact is pretty good. He has sort of a smaller version of Iron Man's passive, the superior Iron Man. And then Gilgamesh's passive. They're like, you know what? we want Gilgamesh to be even stronger. So they gave him when his HP is below 40%. Well, okay, so this is the 6-star version of the artifact. So this is the best it can be. But anyways, when his HP drops below a certain amount, he's gonna pop a heal, and then he's gonna increase his maximum HP for a set amount of time. Now, if you have the 6-star one for Gilgamesh, which, hey, whale's gonna whale. Thank you for keeping the servers and the game alive. You get an 80% heal, so that means Gilgamesh will have 4 heals. He'll have a 40% heal on his Transcendent skill, a 35% heal on his 5th skill, a 6% heal auto on his passive, and now an 80% heal, okay, that triggers automatically when he's under 40%. So you basically, you'd have to one-shot him, but it's gonna be really hard. And then his max HP is gonna increase by 75%. I can hear Hulk crying in the corner right now. Hulk was the eminent leader of increasing your max HP with his 3rd skill, that increases his max HP by like 30%. This is more than double. So I don't know what you guys expected from Gilgamesh, but a really maxed out Gilgamesh from a whale account is going to be so scary in PvP, it's not even funny. Thank goodness he's a combat type and not a universal. Because if he was universal, he's the best PvP character in the game. The fact that he's combat means you can maybe cheese him with some blast types. But yeah, it's going to be terrifying. 75%. Bruh, he's going to have like 500,000 HP or more. We're going to see some Gilgameshes in timeline battle with like 600k HP. It's going to be hilarious. So yeah, that's that. Avoid Gilgamesh, avoid whales with Gilgamesh in PvP. Yeah, and then and again, some quality of life stuff for artifacts. If the instinct matches the character's instinct, rather than you having to check in the details page every time or just memorize all of them, then it will be purple. So as you can see, this one is not purple because it's orange. That means it doesn't match with Makari, because Makari is order, not justice. You can see this one, even though it's not equipped on Thana, is already purple because it matches the character in question. So if it's orange, it doesn't match the character. If it's purple, it does match the character. And then we're getting Reforging for the CTP of Greed and the CTP of Destruction. Now this is really good because these are 2 of the least used CTPs. Now, I know some of you guys are still going to bemoan Reforging, but basically, for those of you that are bemoaning Reforging, do you have any CTPs of Greed or Destruction in your inventory doing absolutely nothing? If the answer is yes, and I'm pretty sure that it is, then at least now you have something to do with these CTPs. I don't think you're going to want to equip every character you own with a mighty CTP of Destruction or a mighty CTP of Greed. These are not like humongous power creeps that are going to break the game, but they're actually making these CTPs useful now, and all you have to do is take 2 and smash them together into 1. So what are they getting exactly? So the CTP of Destruction is getting this thing called Strike, this new ability called Strike. And what Strike will do when it's activated, it will give you Ignore Dodge or Dodge Ignore, and it will also give you increased damage dealt to boss types, which is a very powerful effect for PvE, for World Boss Legend, etc. So very interesting effect here. Destruction could be a competitor to Energy, to a Reforged Energy and a Reforged Judgment. Very, very interesting there. Now, they don't tell you exactly how much Ignore Dodge you get from the percentages, so I don't know if it's 100% Ignore Dodge or whatever, but again, it could be even better, even more meta, specifically for Null, because you need Ignore Dodge for him. So that's potentially very, very good. And then Greed is going to give you an effect called Ambush, and Ambush is going to give you immunity to damage reflect. Again, could be very meta for PvP. There's some pretty strong characters that reflect damage. And then it's also going to give you ignore damage decrease. So when characters have like damage reduction and the greed and the mighty greed or the brilliant greed activates, it's going to ignore some of that damage reduction. So now we have damage reduction and we have ignore damage reduction. So yeah, it seems like they're trying to make greed better for PvP and maybe, you know, an offensive foil to authority and regen. And then they're trying to make destruction sort of competitive with energy, judgment, and rage. Rage not reforgeable yet. So the interesting thing, especially with greed, is for characters like Dr. Doom who use a mighty or a brilliant authority that gives you a ton of damage reduction with the steal effect, this could be a really good counter for it specifically, because if it reduces the damage reduction and the authority increases your damage reduction, they could cancel out and then you could do damage. Because as it currently stands right now, when Dr. Doom triggers the brilliant authority, you do 1 damage for those 5 seconds. That's not very fun. So we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. The, you know, whales and the PvP gods will test it out and we'll find out along the way, but it'll be fine. Then we have the new future pass. We have the new icons. Very, very cute icons. I'm not a big fan of Quicksilver's, but Gwen's and Thana's both look really cool. We have a new uniform collection. We have some quality of life changes to timeline survival as well, showing you which, what are these called? Buffs, showing you which buffs you already own when you're purchasing or getting new ones in the landmarks. And then they're adding some extra items to the shop that you can purchase with survival tokens. So they're adding artifacts that you can purchase with survival tokens instead of gold. I think to make timeline survival different than Dimension Rifts, they should add back the tier 3 materials to the timeline survival shop, but we'll have to wait and see what they want to do. Oh, and they're also adding an effect or a setting where you can aggregate the damage numbers. So if you're annoyed and you're sick of seeing the regular damage numbers and then the instinct damage numbers on top, you can aggregate that back into one number. However, this is great. I encourage the developers to add a third button here that says nothing. If I could turn off the damage display, that would go a long way to minimizing the visual noise in the game so that I can finally see again and I don't have to wear my gigantic 7x bifocals when I play Marvel Future Fight to see my tiny little character surrounded by flashing lights and strobing effects. And then there's a bunch of bugs and game error fixes, a bunch, including the one that Beast Mode Gaming brought up recently where War Machine had been shadow nerfed. It was obviously a bug. Well, now we know it was obviously a bug, but good on him for bringing it up and bringing it to the attention of the devs. I didn't notice at the time, but yeah. So those are the patch notes. That's it. Yeah. There's a couple of buffs here. There's a buff to Crescent. There's a reduction in the difficulty of the Shang-Chi legendary battle. But yeah. So those are the patch notes. Pretty interesting. I'm very excited for Dimension Rifts and for the 3 new Eternals. And I'll be live later tonight to check it all out. So I hope you'll be there and I hope you'll join me and have fun. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of the patch notes. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button to support the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.